Hello friends, myself Smita here and we are learning TDS in TallyPrime. This is our last class on TDS in TallyPrime. In this session, we will learn the TDS to be deducted at zero rate, what is the procedure for that, and the TDS to be deducted at 1% rate. Generally, what happens? The TDS is deducted as per the different sections. Whatever the nature of payment is there, depending on that, the whatever the TDS rate is defined, the TDS gets deducted as per that rate, whether it is 10%, 5%, 1%, 2%, whatever. But in some cases, the payee means the person whose amounts get deducted, that is deductee, can avail the benefit of getting zero TDS, means not to deduct a single amount, single rupee, or to deduct only 1% of TDS from the amount receivable to him. So how to have this facility, or what is the procedure for this? So first we will go through the deduction at zero rate, that is no deduction of tax. For this, the forms are available at 15G or 15H. This provision is available only in case of TDS on interest on securities. Different sections are defined under section 193, dividend under section 194, interest other than interest on securities under section 194A, and national savings schemes under section 194EE. So this facility is available for such type of incomes or payments. If the total income of the payee is lower than the exemption limit, payee can avoid the deduction of TDS from the payments receivable. Obvious it is. If the total amount receivable to payee is lower than the exemption limit prescribed in TDS sections, the payee can avoid deduction of TDS from payments receivable. And for this, payee must submit the form number 15G to the payer. If the payer is the senior citizen, he should submit form number 15H. So 15G or 15H can be submitted to lower the to make the TDS deduction at zero rate. When payee provides a copy of 15G or 15H depending on his age to the payer can issue a payment without deducting TDS. So no amount get deducted after providing a copy of 15G or 15H to the payer. And such certificate collected by the payer, it is mandatory for the payer to deposit the copy of such certificates to the respective TDS circle. So again, it becomes important or necessary for the payer to deposit all such certificates received from the payees to the respective TDS circle. So let's start with this. For example, on 1st of March 2023, the company paid interest to Mr. Raj. This is the PAN number of Mr. Raj of rupees 25,000. Okay, so Mr. Raj submitted the form 15G for non-deduction, that is zero rate deduction of TDS. So it is a interest paid to Raj. So interest paid comes under the section 194A. Nature of payment will be interest other than interest on securities. Rate of TDS will be 10%. Exemption limit, it is a bank, means the payer is the bank, then 40,000, and for other payees, payee, it is 5,000. So let's start with this. What we have to do? We have to adjust Mr. Raj's ledger, creditor's ledger, to 0% TDS rate. So we'll start with this. The first step is creating different masters. We will create the first ledger of Mr. Raj. Here we will provide the PAN details of Mr. Raj and we'll configure this ledger to zero rate. So how to configure? Here is the path. First we will create the ledger. So this is our company Alpha Suppliers Limited. We will create the ledger Mr. Raj. This is creditor, and is TDS deductible? Yes. This is a person, so it is the option available is individual or HUF resident. Deduct TDS in same voucher? Yes. Provide mailing details for Mr. Raj. The state is Maharashtra, and the PAN number. PAN number is very important. So what is the PAN number? The PAN number is ASBPD 2243L. 2243L. So this is the person. So consumer it is. So no need to provide GST number. See, generally this is the way we create creditors ledger. But while this creating this creditors ledger, what we have to do? We have to configure this ledger for zero rate deduction. And how to configure? At this party's ledger creation screen, press Ctrl I, that is for more details, where we can provide the necessary, where we can make necessary adjustment. So go to TDS applicability for party, enable use advanced TDS entries, and then enable the option set or alter zero or lower deduction. So let's do this. So we are on the Mr. Raj creditors ledger creation screen. So here we will press Ctrl I or press this more details button. Now here select this option TDS applicability party and press enter here. This next screen will appear where we have to provide the statutory details. So is TDS deductible? Yes. Deductive type we have already selected. The same is available over here. It is individual or HUF resident. Deduct TDS in same voucher? Yes. For what? So we have already created the nature of TDS transaction in the earlier sessions. For your information, I'm just opening this type of nature of expenses by pressing Ctrl Enter. We have this is the interest other than interest on securities under section 194A. 94A will be the payment code. Rate of individual or HUF, the TDS rate will be 10% if PAN is provided, and without PAN 20%. Rate of for other deductive type is 10% and without PAN 20%. Threshold limit is 5,000. So this is what we have already created. So select that nature, or for other also, if this person is applying for zero rate, select the nature of payment and press end of the list. So use advanced entries for this TDS. Yes, we need to configure this person's, that is creditors ledger, for TDS deduction at a lower rate or zero rate. So ignore surcharge limit exemption. No. Ignore income tax exemption. It is not defined over here. What we have to do, what we are more interested in this is set alter zero lower reduction. So press yes over here. Select the type or nature of the TDS payment, interest other than interest on securities, under which scheme or under which provision we are applying for. So it is 197 for lower deduction or 197A zero rate. So we are applying means that person or the creditor is applying for 197A zero rate by submitting 15G form to us. Certificate number, check this 15G form, and the certificate number on this is available. So whatever the number is there, enter the details. It is applicable from 1st of April 22 to 31st 3 23. Again in the next year the person will submit new form for deducting the TDS at zero rate. So percentage of TDS will be zero now. So after submitting this form, we cannot deduct the TDS, means at 0% we will deduct the TDS. End of the list, end of the list. So this is how we have configured the creditors ledger for zero rated tax. Press Ctrl A to save this. So we have created the creditors ledger and configured the same for zero rate of deduction. Now we have to create the nature of TDS payment that we have already created. Just I will show once again. So nature of TDS will be, go to alter. I have already created the same. You too have the same in your PC, as we have taken this in the second session of TDS. No, yes, in the first session of the TDS part. So the nature of TDS payment is interest other than interest on securities, and this is based on this table. So what is the section number, nature of payment, rate of TDS, and exemption limit. So section number is 194A, payment code is 94A. Then rate for individual HUF, the rate will be 10% if the PAN is available, otherwise 20%. For other deductee, it is 10%. If PAN is available, 20%. Maximum limit or exemption limit is 5,000 rupees. So this is how we create the nature, TDS nature of payment. Now create the TDS payment. Interest other than interest on securities. So nature of TDS payment, again we have already created this. I will show you the same TDS on interest. So TDS on interest will be under duties and taxes. TDS type of tax will be there, and select the nature of TDS. So it is interest other than interest on securities. Control A for saving this. Next, we have to create the TDS on interest also, means expense ledger. Sorry, create expense ledger. So interest, as we have interest on loan, we will create new ledger interest paid or interest expenses. So ledger interest paid, it is indirect expense. Just a minute. Indirect expense, and GST is not applicable on this. TDS is applicable, and the nature of TDS will be interest other than interest on securities, and GST will not be included in this calculation. So this is how we have created all the ledgers, and now pass the general entry for indirect expenses. So let's go to voucher, enter. So this will be a voucher, journal voucher dated 1st of Jan, sorry, 1st of March. It is 1st of March. We paid this interest to Raj on 1st of March, rupees 25,000. See, the exemption limit is 5,000 for others, so it is 25,000. So obviously it is exceeding the exemption limit. So if Raj has not provided the form 15G, then on 25,000, 10% TDS will get deducted. That is 2,500 will get deducted in normal case. But here Raj has provided the zero rate certificate, so we will not deduct any amount of TDS. And even as we have done all the settings in TallyPrime, even the entries are automated, it will not deduct a single rupee as a TDS from Raj's ledger. So let's enter the thing. It is interest paid. How much we have paid? 25,000 to Raj, Mr. Raj. See, as we have configured this Raj ledger with zero rated tax, there is no deduction amount, deduction of TDS. So interest paid 25,000 to Raj ledger 25,000. So this is how the no deduction of tax gets applied in TallyPrime. Here is the screenshot of party's ledger configuration and the voucher entry. See, the voucher entry will be interest paid or interest expense account debit to Mr. Raj. So this is the entry. Give reference as a new reference. Suppose this is Raj invoice number 10 being interest payable to Mr. Raj, and then we will pay to the party. So how much we will pay? We will pay the whole amount. So payment, whether it is a regular payment voucher or by using voucher class, you can pay through any type of option available. So we are paying on 1st of Jan only, 1st of March only. Debit will go to Raj, Mr. Raj. The outstanding is 25,000 to against reference to bank account, Axis Bank. So this is how we can pay to the creditor without deducting any amount of TDS. And generally we pass the automated entry for paying the TDS to government. So it is not at all required because we have not deducted TDS from Mr. Raj's invoice. So the next entry, that is payment to the government for TDS deduction, is not required. So as we do not deduct the TDS, we will not pass the entry and we will not have a TDS certificate to be issued to Raj because we have not deducted a single amount of TDS from Raj's ledger. So this is how the tax is deducted at zero rate from the payee's ledger. This is what the zero rated TDS deduction. Suppose deduction at lower rate is available. Means instead of deducting the TDS as per the different sections depending on the nature of the payment, the payee applies for deducting TDS at only 1% rate. And for this, a special form needs to be filled up and should be applied to income tax department so that the deductee can deduct only 1% TDS. The amount get deducted at only 1% on the total expenses. So let's start. Deduction at lower rate. The payee can apply. Payee means the person who receives the money. The payee can apply for lowering the TDS deduction rate. To lower this TDS deduction, the payee can apply in form number 13. Which form is used? Form number 13 is used to the assessing officer to get a certificate that can authorize the payer to deduct TDS at low rate. So what a payee has to do? Payee will fill up the form number 13, will submit it to assessing officer or TDS circle in which in the nearby his residence, and from that officer he will collect a certificate. The certificate will authorize the payer to deduct TDS at lower rate. So this is the procedure. If the payee follows such procedure and provides the such certificate to the payer can deduct the TDS only at the rate of 1%, not as per the rules of TDS nature of payment. Here is another example. On 1st of March 2023, company paid rupees 50,000 as advertising expenses to Subhash and company. So this is company means it is not a individual HUF, it is a other payee. Okay. And here is the PAN number is provided. The payee has a certificate of income tax to lower the tax at 1%. So payee, that is Subhash and company, filled form number 13, applied it to assessing officer. The assessing officer issued a certificate to Subhash and company, and this certificate is submitted to us, that is payer, so that we can deduct the TDS at only 1% rate. So this is what the situation or the problem is. Now how to solve this? First of all, the kind of nature of expense is advertising expense, so it comes under 194C. name of the payment will be contractor including advertising and subcontractor. Rate of TDS will be for individual and HUF it is 1% and for other pays it is 2% and exemption limit is 30%. So if we go through this TDS section, Subhash and Company is type of other pay. So 2% TDS deduction will get applied for this person. So amount of advertising expenses 50,000. So we have to pay 50,000 to Subhash and Company, and TDS in normal rate will be 2%. So on 50,000 we will deduct 2%. So we will pay 50,000 minus 50,000 minus 1,000 payable to Subhash and Company at normal rate, and this 1,000 will be TDS payable to government, right? But as Subhash and Company has provided the TDS provided the certificate for lowering the rate of TDS. So the rate of TDS will be at the rate of 1%. So at the rate of 1%, we can deduct the amount. So the rate of 1% on 50,000 will be, the amount will come as 500 rupees. So TDS payable to the government on normal case, and this amount is payable to Subhash and Company in special case. So this is example for special case, and this is a normal case. So let's start with the special case. So create different masters. First, I would like to discuss on the TDS nature of payment. We will create the creditors ledger afterwards, as we have already created the TDS nature of payment as a contractor including advertising and subcontractor. I will show you how we have created. If you go through the second part of our TDS sessions, you will come to know how to create the TDS nature for this advertising expenses. So I will just show you. For this, I will open masters alter. This is TDS nature of payment, contractor including advertising and subcontractor. So name of the TDS nature will be contractor including advertising and subcontractors. Section will be 194C. Payment code is 94C. Value limit for a single bill is 30,000. C. In a single bill, 30,000 is getting crossed. We are issuing 50,000. So it is 30,000 limit gets crossed. With PAN, 1% for individual and HUF. Without PAN, it is 20%. And for other deductee, it is 2%. And without PAN, it is 20%. So, and threshold limit for the whole year is 1 lakh rupees. So we have already created this nature of TDS. We have already created the TDS on advertising expenses under duties and taxes. So we will check the ledger also. TDS on advertising. So this is TDS on advertising under duties and taxes. This is the type of duty or tax will be TDS. Select the nature of payment as contractor, this one, contractor including advertising and subcontractor, and press control key. So this one is also created. And now we have to create the expense ledger, that is advertising expenses, and select the nature of TDS payment created above. So advertising expenses, the ledger is already available, so it is under indirect expense. GST is not applicable and TDS is applicable, and the nature of TDS payment will be contractor, including advertising and subcontractor. Include in accessible value calculation for, it is not applicable. Just press Ctrl A to save this. So this is how we have created the TDS payment, nature of payment, TDS on advertising expenses are duties and taxes, and expense ledger, that is advertising expense. Now we will create the ledger, creditors ledger, Subhash and company, and will provide all the details. Also we will configure the ledger to get TDS deducted at a lower rate. So name of the company is Subhash and company, and I have the this PAN number of the company. So let's go to create ledger Subhash and company. This is our creditor. Maintain balances bill by bill, yes. Is TDS deductible? Yes. The type of deduct is company, so it is company resident. Deduct TDS in same voucher, yes. Mailing details of Subhash and company, especially the state from Maharashtra. Or provide the PAN number. So PAN number is available. So I will just go through the PAN number available in PPT. AKEPP AKEPP 9977H 9977H. And this is the company, so regular taxpayer start with 27 AKEPP 9977H 1ZR. So this is the GST number. Press enter, enter. So this is just a minute. Before creating this or before saving this, or we need to configure the ledger. I am just opening through alter part. Subhash and company. I'm in the alteration of the ledger, and here we need to configure the ledger, creditors ledger. How to configure? At the parties ledger creation or in the alteration screen, press Ctrl I, that is more details button. In that, select TDS applicability party, then press enter. Enable use of advanced entry. In that part, select the option, enable the option set alter or zero lower deduction. So let's configure the creditors ledger. Press Ctrl I or press this more details button, enter. Select this one option, statutory registration details. In that TDS applicability party, press enter. Is TDS deductible? Yes. The type of deductee is company resident. Deduct TDS in same voucher? Yes. It will ask for the nature of TDS now. So what is the nature of TDS? It is contractors, including advertising and subcontractor. Is there any other nature of TDS to be deducted? No. Then use advanced entries TDS? Yes. Press yes. Ignore surcharge limit? No. Ignore income tax exemption limit? Keep it as it is. And here we are most focusing on this one, set or alter zero or lower deduction. So press Y. So select the nature of payment, TDS nature of payment. It is contractor, including advertising and subcontractor. Now provision will be, if you are going for lower rate, select this provision, that is 197. If you want, means that person, that company has provided the certificate of zero rate, then go for this section. And if the Subhash and company provided form number 13 certificate, then go for lower rate of deduction. So select this provision 197. So provide the form number submitted by Subhash and company, applicable for the one financial year, applicable up to 31st March 2023, and the rate will be 1%. So TDS will get deducted at rate of 1% only. So press Control A and then Control A, press Control A to save this. So we have created all the masters. Now we will pass the entry. So journal entry for interest certificate is interest expenses. Sorry, journal entry for advance advertising expenses. So go to voucher. On 1st of March, we are payable advertising expense to Subhash and Company. The amount of advertising expense is 50,000 to Subhash and Company. Just a minute, why it is not working? Okay, I will once again. It's a payment entry. That's why it is not showing the proper way. It's a first three. Go to journal entry, and I was entering in payment voucher. We should enter through journal voucher actually. So go to advertising expense 50,000 to this Subhash and Company. See 49,500. In normal case, it should get deduct 1,000 rupees. But as the Subhash and Company provided a certificate to deduct the TDS at 1%, 500 will get deducted as a TDS and amount payable to Subhash and Company will be 49,500. So Subhash and Company 49,500. New reference, provide the reference invoice 200. In new reference invoice. So this invoice number will be as per the invoice provided by Subhash and Company to TDS on advertising. So 500 will get deducted as a TDS on advertising. So this is how we pass the entry for TDS deduction at lower rate at 1%. Then next entry will be payment to the government. How to pass the payment to the government? We have to open the form number 26Q. For that, go to display more reports, statutory reports, TDS reports 26Q, change the date range, that is from 1st of March to 31st of March. And now we will enter the statutory details, statutory payment by pressing Alt S. See, just a minute. See, here we have lower rated taxable expenses. So lower rated taxable expenses 5%, 500 rupees. We will pay this to government by pressing Alt S. TDS from 1st of March to 31st of March. We will pay on 31st of March. Okay, it is not accepting the date. What we have to do? We have to bring our cursor on gateway of Tally. First, we have to change the date itself. So see why it is not accepting. We are on the gateway of Tally and current date is going on is 31st of Jan 23. We will change this date to 31st March 23. How to change the date? By pressing F2. 31st 3. So enter the last date of the year so that we can enter any transaction of dated any data. Okay. So again go to display more reports, statutory report, TDS report form 26Q, change the date range from 1st of March to 31st of March, and then we'll press Alt S, or you can press this button statutory payment. It is TDS payment from 1st of March to 31st of March, paying on 31st of March. See, your cursor must go down on section part. If it is not going, it means it is not accepting the date. So what we have to do? We have to change the current date of the TallyPrime by changing the date which is available on gateway of Tally screen. Just press F2 there, enter the last date of the financial year, and then again open form number 26Q, press Alt S, and now provide the date on which you will deduct the TDS. You will pay the TDS to the government. So then only it will provide the section number. So the section number is 194C. For advertising contracts for all the companies, we will pay through Axis Bank. So this is how we will pay 500 rupees to the bank, to the government IT department. So just press enter, give the information about the check number or online payment details, everything. Okay. Now see, now it is showing we have paid the amount, but still it is not showing the amount in paid section. It is showing balance payable 500 rupees. In the end, it is showing balance payable. We need to bring this 500 in paid column. How to bring? We have the uncertain transaction. Number one, only one transaction is there which is listed in uncertain transaction. Press enter and reconcile the transaction. Provide bank details for that voucher so that it will get placed in paid amount column. So provide all the details. You can reconcile the this payment through reconcile statement also. So provide the check number, check dated 31st 3, BSR code it is numeric 7-digit numeric number, challan number, challan date is 31st March. We paid through Axis Bank, branch is Mumbai. Enter, enter. See, now the uncertain transaction is nullified, and see, it is showing in the paid section contractors including advertising and subcontractors. So this is how the low rated or reduced rate of TDS can be deducted, and the entries can be made in TallyPrime with automated facility. Even whenever we pass the TDS deduction entry at lower rate, it doesn't show at a normal rate portion. In the portion, it shows in a separate section. It is lower rated taxable expenses. Even for zero rated taxable expenses, it is showing the list of TDS deducted at zero rate. So this is how TDS at lower rate or TDS at zero rate works in TallyPrime. Now what we have to do? We have to issue TDS certificate to Subhash and Company. To issue that TDS certificate, what we will do? We will open the TDS payment entry to the government. So go to accounts book, ledger, TDS on advertising, enter that payment made to, sorry, just a minute, not TDS on advertising. Yes, TDS on advertising, this payment ledger, and here we will press Ctrl P and press preview. So this is 500 rupees TDS certificate. under 94C. The amount of income tax that is TDS deducted is 500 rupees. So this certificate, you take a printout of the certificate and provide this to Subhash and Company, so that while filing the income tax return, the Subhash and Company will file this TDS return to the government, and government will reimburse or refund 500 rupees to Subhash and Company. So this is the certificate. Now the next step is saving form number 26Q. So go to statutory reports, TDS report 26Q, change the date for 1st of March to 31st of March, and this is the form 26Q for such date range. Just press Alt B to save return, or you can press this button, save return. It will ask your confirmation. Do you want to save the return? Yes. Now where to find out this saved form? Go to return transaction book. We have these three forms. We have already taken a copy of this form number 26Q. Just open it. We can see the proper screen whenever we have saved this. Okay. Challan can be reconciled from this challan reconciliation option. We don't have any challan for reconciliation, so it is showing blank. So this is how tax deducted at source in TallyPrime is available, can be modified to deduct the TDS at lower rate and also at zero rate. So go through the whole session and practice the same. Also try to solve the question here based on this topic. So this is our last class on TDS. Go through all the classes based on TDS. So thank you for the day. Thank you.